Anything else on commissioners? Okay. We have Stuart here. We ready to look at the discussion and possible approval for the Clean Water District Advisory Council. Stuart Whitford,
Chair.
Director of Environmental Health. Sure. Your choice. Kitsap County has graciously shares his time with us.
Good morning, Commissioners. What we have before you today is a request to approve a resolution creating the Clean Water District Advisory Council. As you know, the Board of Commissioners approved an ordinance creating the Clean Water District in 2007. One of the requirements of that ordinance was to create such a council. Since I came on board in summer of 2010, I was tasked to put that together, and recently in the last couple of months I started working on that. Essentially, what the proposal is to create a council made up of 9 members. The ordinance says it can be between 3 and 9, but I think having the ability to have 9 members is most appropriate. It would be 1 representative of the commercial shellfish growers, 1 representative of the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners, 1 citizen each from Commissioner Districts 1, 2, and 3, 1 representative from Jefferson County Public Health, 1 representative from Jefferson County Public Works, and 1 representative from the Conservation District and from the Port Townsend City Council. And as you can see, the terms of participation vary to ensure that we have adequate participation there. Reappointments would be for 4 years. And so that's what we have here. With your approval of the resolution, I will start work immediately on, getting the word out to solicit volunteers to sit on this board. And obviously, for example, the Port Townsend City Council can choose whom they wish to participate, in this council, and others will have that right as well. But I'll start work on that right away. And any questions you might have, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, one question I have is, I understand that the Port Townsend City Council chose not to be involved in the Clean Water District. So I was wondering.
Yeah, it's well, one of the things that, for example, right now we have received a grant from the Department of Ecology to do some water quality work in northern Jefferson County, and as part of that, the City of Port Townsend will be a subcontractor to Public Health to work on water quality issues. So there'll be a new partnership with the City of Port Townsend there. I think it's critical that an advisory group like this have lots of different opinions and say and program direction, goals, and objectives. And the more good minds you have, the better those advisory groups tend to be. I liken this to the advisory committee we have in Kitsap County for our stormwater utility. It works quite well. We do and have had city stormwater representatives on that committee. And what it does is it serves to ensure that things are kind of standardized as far as water quality response and activities, and so I think it's a good thing to do.
What's the stat? We've had several grants that this Clean Water District monies have leveraged, really.
Yeah.
What are the status of those grants?
Yeah. The primary reason this came about, of course I wasn't here, but we had a downgrade in Discovery Bay for their commercial shellfish classification. And so we obtained a grant from the state to address that. That project is now winding down this year. In fact, it'll be wrapped up in September. The other one that was mentioned was a concerned or a threatened status in Mats Bay. That project has been ongoing. It's going to be wrapping up, next year. Hood Canal was also mentioned in the ordinance, and we obtained a grant, I think in 2009, to start our work in Hood Canal. We've received another grant last year to continue that work. So I would say, the status is that, for Discovery Bay, that project is nearly complete. The field work has been completed. The Conservation District has completed most of the work that they were going to do, and so it's been a success. It has obviously taken about 4 years to complete that work.
And one of the things we looked at in addition to stormwater at the time was what was going on in the Puget Sound Partnership and opportunities for this to be a vehicle for doing other water quality monitoring and deal with a variety of water issues and stormwater discharge issues. That's one of the reasons this has taken a while here is that's really taken some time to develop.
Yeah, the partnership's been in a state of flux, for the past 5 years. But there is the action agenda now, and currently the action agenda is being revised, and so that process should end this fall, and we'll have a new updated action agenda. So, yeah, there's been a lot of things constantly changing, over time.
Yeah. The Ruckels House process has also entered into this. We've had attempts to look at the Watershed Management Act at the state level, and that failed actually this last session to come about any changes in that. So I guess my only concern is dealing with this kind of in isolation. It seems like all these things ought to come together maybe a little better than they are, and I guess that's why we waited on this, and there hasn't been an urgency. I don't know, Nathan.
Well, I wasn't here.
Yeah.
What I've been told was that when the board initially approved the ordinance, the priorities were pretty much set at that point in time through the ordinance.
Right.
Now those priorities have nearly been completed.
Right.
So now we're entering a new phase, which requires an advisory council to help us identify the program direction. So this is why my understanding is that if there was a delay, it was because the initial priorities were already set. We obtained grants to address those. Now we're entering a new phase where we have to be able to decide what's the best direction, where are the hot spots that we need to take care of, and where do we need to go. So setting up this advisory council is important right now.
Maybe even identifying priorities for prevention so that you don't have hot spots. I mean, so far it's been kind of reactive in response to the fines for all the water quality testing that's being done by the state primarily. But if we're going to prevent things from happening, we need to be looking ahead better.
Yeah, most of the water quality cleanup projects that we do here in Jefferson County, and then my experience in Kitsap County, for the most part, most of what we do is prevention. Most of what we're doing is providing public education, awareness of water quality issues, how to prevent them from occurring. Most people don't have sources of pollution on their property. Only a small percentage do. Now, in some cases, those small percentage of people with issues can create a big problem. But for the most part, people receive educational information to prevent those problems from occurring in the first place. And so it's an awareness thing, and it's a door-to-door process where we meet people door-to-door, which we think is the most effective way to handle that. What we find with our public meetings is people don't come to those. We get a little better success when we have a training, like an on-site septic training associated with that. But if we just have a public meeting, I think people appreciate the fact that we have it and available if they want to voice a concern, but for the most part, we get very little attendance. What we do find successful is the door-to-door stuff. That's where we can really talk one-on-one with the person.
So Commissioner, I think what Stuart is saying is that under the ordinance, we committed to having an advisory board, that we're at a phase now of evolving priorities where it's timely to do so. But I'm also hearing you questioning, and I think it's a fair question, of are there opportunities to look at how we're we have a number of sort of closely aligned efforts going on, planning efforts and environmental protection efforts, and is there an opportunity to somehow amalgamate these? And did you have some specific ideas along those lines?
Well, just wondering if this was the vehicle to do that, to bring those together, if we're creating another group of meetings for some people that is gonna be just, one more set of people looking at the same issues that watershed planning groups are looking at, that Puget Sound Partnership looking at, the Canal Coordinating Council is looking at. Just wondering if this is the vehicle to pull everybody together to do just what you say, to say, okay, how do we fit with all these?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. One of the things I know that the group I'm part of in Kitsap does that. It's been one of the most effective groups I've ever been involved in. What's key to these groups being successful is especially the citizens that are involved, those people being involved and wanting to participate and wanting to show up, at the meetings to give opinions and, insights. But yeah, this could be a forum, to do those kinds of things, definitely.
And I think it's good that the city is part of it, actually part of the discussion. The city, while they have a stormwater fee,
Yeah.
they have a stormwater problem. I think it's good for them to be part of the discussion.
One of the things that I do think about is on this issue of looking at consolidation is sort of as harkening back to Mr. Fritz's comments, even without a secondary major decline in our economy, we know that we are assuredly facing lean times for quite some time to come. And one of the things that we're looking to do is to try to reduce the staff time and the time for elected officials serving on multiple committees and consolidate our advisory boards where we can. And that's actually something that's in your adopted budget goals and objectives for 2012, is to look for opportunities for consolidation on advisory boards and commissions. So it seems like it's worthwhile looking at